Hey, so welcome back to episode 2 of Chain Reaction. I'm Daniella.
And I'm Dave.
So today the first episode we spoke about was you guys learning about me and Dave, and I think we sort of really hit the nail on the head with sort of tech and automation. So it just naturally felt that this would be a good second episode, right? So yeah, Dave, do you want to fire away with that?
Yeah, I think for me, when we started talking about it on the first episode, I was like, I could talk about this for another 5, 10 minutes, but conscious that this is the very first episode, we don't want to get stuck into a rabbit hole. But I think it's a good first topic really to pick up because tech is everywhere at the minute. I think people are more they're more wary of tech as well. They're kind of conscious of being burnt by it in the past, so they're very
Yeah.
aware of what's going on around them. I think at the same time we touched on AI and automation in the pilot, but this is really kind of the bit where we want to get into the crux of it because I think people have a tech first mindset,
Yeah.
um, and I think that needs to change. I don't know what you think about that, Daniela.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that, with what you do with the customer experience side, I'm seeing, from a recruitment point of view, alongside my go-to-market sort of consultancy side, you're right. People go, "Oh my God, AI's everywhere or tech's everywhere. I need tech to solve all my problems." When actually, yeah, what about your people? Because your people need to use it. It needs to be
Yeah,
valuable to them. So I 100% agree. It's like I drive a Mustang, if anyone knows. Didn't know that. 5 litre GT, absolutely big petrol head. But very sustainable, I will say, on all other parts of my life. Um, but you wouldn't put a Ferrari engine, right, in a rusty old banger and expect it to fly. So that's exactly what a lot of companies I see do. They slap like new software onto broken logistics processes and then think, "Oh yeah, it's done." And it really isn't, and that's how I sort of see it.
yeah. Um, I Yeah, I mean, I sold my Mustang GT 5 litre 3 years ago, so you've just brought back some memories for me. And I've just bought a Ford Tornado 9-seater minibus for the impending twins coming as well. So it's how life changes in 3 years, right?
But very practical,
Um,
right?
very practical.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of different ways to fill it up with lots of stuff, which is good. You can't really do that in a Mustang because it's
No.
two people and that's about it, really. But yeah, God, I miss that. Um, yeah, I think for me, the tech side of things is I think people are magpies to a degree. They just sort of see
100%.
something shiny, or someone goes, "We've just installed or implemented this new bit of software, tech, whatever it is," and people go, "Oh, we need to use that," but
Yeah.
they don't have the use case for it. They just want it because someone else is using it.
Yeah.
I think AI is a bit like that as well. People jumping on that bandwagon of, "Oh, we use AI in our business." So what? What's the benefit it's bringing you? If you can say we use AI to do this specifically, brilliant.
Yeah.
Don't just come at us and say we use AI because it's almost meaningless.
Yeah. And a lot of yeah, a few people have said to me, "Oh, I need AI in my business." And I'm like, "You probably do, but where and what?" "Oh, well, AI." There's how many platforms of AI are there out there, and what problems do they solve? All different. So until you know your pain points and your problems that you're trying to solve, don't just go and buy ChatGPT paid for.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like I would encourage people to experiment with stuff like ChatGPT, building a generative AI kind of model, and you can go right. Here's a use case that we could use this for.
Absolutely.
Rather than so example I like a bet. I had a flutter on the golf recently. I had a problem with the bet actually winning. It won but it didn't pay out. Long story short, I went on to the live chat and I got passed to a robot who didn't understand the question. So I said, can I speak to an agent? And it said, sorry, I didn't understand that request.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, this is frustrating because
Yeah.
I was already frustrated to begin with, and now you've taken it up a notch, and the poor agent probably is going to get the brunt of it. So
Yeah.
that's an example where AI or a virtual bot probably isn't helping the situation or scenario.
Yeah.
So, question to you, Daniela.
Hmm.
Have you ever witnessed or been involved in a scenario where tech's been brought in to solve something that's probably a process or people problem?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I have. So I suppose from a people process point of view, you know, sales guys, they need to generate leads and need to bring them in. But they're all ages. They don't know how to use AI. They've never been trained on it. And a particular freight forwarder basically invested probably four or five figures into a platform across the business. Um, and the problem wasn't the software, it was the sales guys couldn't use it because they didn't get trained on it and there was no onboarding. Now, one, is that down to the software company? Yes, they should have a very good onboarding realistically, but if it's a plug and play or if it's a SaaS product, sometimes they just go, here you go, off you go. And now half of them don't use it, but they're tied in for 12 months. And, you know, well, actually, they've come to me and said, right, how do we solve this? You know, can you come in and, you know, and I'm not massively au fait with this, but I understand the tech behind it.
Mm.
So I'm currently in talks with them to try and help them. But again, that's going to be another expense, you know. So I would say that's one live conversation that I'm having right now, where it's
Mm.
cost them thousands and thousands, and they've got, you know, if they just started in the beginning of getting full blown training and understood what their salespeople needed as well, because some of them have said, oh no, actually, it's not what I want. I would rather have it work this way. And then you're like, well, this is where it comes down to the experience, right? And the support and the management. You know, you understand your teams, understand their pain points, understand their negative, positives, how they work, then get the tech.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, again, to that point, the damage is done at that point when they start to
Yeah.
bring you in and have that conversation. And from an employee experience, people are going to see this tech came in and it's not worked, so we've gone back to what we used before. Then they might bring you in and they go, oh, here we go, there's someone else coming in now. These
Yeah.
different changes that happen in the business, they
Yeah.
create this kind of, I guess, negative feeling or resistance where people go, I don't know if I can rely on the change that's going to happen here because I've not had a good experience with it before. And I think that
Yeah.
change management piece of technology is massively
Oh,
overrated as
huge.
well.
Yeah.
Underrated, sorry. And I think from my experience, I've seen organisations quite large. There's a CRM at the front of the process that the sales guys would use, something like Salesforce maybe,
Yeah.
and then an inbuilt or custom built system at the back end for operations to use to track customers that are coming in with incidents or tickets, for example. And they've got a completely different database of names and people. And everyone in the middle of that is completely unaware. The
Yeah.
sales guys didn't realise operations had their own CRM and vice versa. So, one, you can strip out waste straight away by just having one CRM. But two, it's why are we not talking to each other? Why is there no alignment in what's going on here? And I
Yeah.
think that's a
Literally.
massive problem. It's
Yeah.
you've got so many organisations that have silos and go, right, we've got a budget here to do something. We're going to automate or we're going to bring in AI. We're going to do this, but they're not looking end to end. And you've got pockets of, I guess, excellence in their own right,
Mm.
but they're inefficient because they're not joined up with the rest of the organisation. So it's building
Yeah.
inefficiencies on inefficiencies, really, isn't it?
Yeah. You've got to have that centralization. And I get, you know, that companies get, you know, with the M&As, like mergers and acquisitions, you know, and they inherit, you know, Jurassic systems and stuff like that. But there's got to be a time where you go, this has got to change. We've got to centralize the communication. Even if you just centralize the communication and then work bit by bit, you know, it's got to help. It has to help in certain
Mm.
ways.
And I think this is where I come into the fold of this. So I'm not technical in the slightest. I don't help organisations with their tech. What I do is help with their processes at the very, very beginning. So rather than saying we need X system, how do we actually do the work we do today? So let's figure that out. What's the best way of doing that? Here's the consistent view of that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now let's go to market and find the right tool for us, rather than buying something that's shiny, or the company down the road's using it, or competitors using it, and we feel like we
Yeah.
have to. We do the right thing. I think a lot of organisations nowadays could benefit from something that's bespoke. So here's our process, and here's the glove that goes over it to say, brilliant, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I think more often than not, people buy software to paper over cracks and sort of say, oh,
Yeah.
that'll work, that'll stitch that together. But it's just a bit of a plaster holding things together, really. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's where I come into it at the very, very beginning, to sort of say, where are we going? How does it work today? And let's find the right solution for you guys.
Yeah. What's your current process? Where's the friction? You know, actually problem solving, and then it becomes visible. Then you can communicate it. Then you can build the manual steps with the teams, and I suppose then to that point, it's a case of, right, actually, yeah, if they do need new tech, then that's also where I would come in from that next chain, if you like, because the different partners that I work with, it covers a multitude of different technology, from TMS systems, WMS systems, got partners with ERP, the whole ecosystem, but let's centralize it all together. But now we know, the visibilities of what you've done with that company. Actually, then they're going to get not a broken tech, they're actually going to get tech that is going to be efficient and make them work correctly with it. So
Yeah,
yeah, no, I
yeah,
totally get it. It's a big frustration. I'm sure we could like talk about this for hours, but you know,
yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
there's a massive thing as well around understanding the tech that organisations do currently have, kind of that audit really of the investment they've already made,
yeah,
what's being used and what's stagnant potentially.
yeah,
Are there any legacy systems that need to be updated? I think a lot of people go for something new without looking at the impact that's going to have to what's already existing in that catalogue, if you like.
yeah.
And I
The
think that audit really,
integration, like the
yeah, exactly that.
migration
That's,
of it all.
I think integration's a massive word at the minute, because a lot of systems people go, oh, it talks to this, it talks to that, brilliant, but it's never set up correctly. It's always something that's, oh yeah, so once we do that, we've got to put that into Excel, and we do this, we do that, then we put it into that system.
Yeah,
Why? It's just adding more complexity that's completely unnecessary, isn't it?
yeah. And I think, why this happens ultimately is the conversations that I'm having, I'm sure you are as well, especially around the tech piece, is there's this massive pressure to scale fast,
Mm.
but quick wins with tech is not the right way to go. And I think there's that fear of falling behind as well. But, work out what you've got, work out where you can go with that now. And if you do need to change it or bolt something onto it, at least you know exactly which part of the business needs that, AI or the automation that's really going to prioritize and get their return on investment back, right? So
Mm.
yeah, don't jump into it because everyone's saying, like you're saying, oh my God, I need a piece of tech. Find out which part of your business needs it, and and then utilize yourself and myself and people who are experts in that field to be able to support you, on that
Yeah.
journey together. That's how I see
Mm.
it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think that chain reaction again, right? If you're starting at the very beginning of the process and you get that right, and you go further down the links and you go, oh, that bit of information we captured up here,
Yeah,
really helpful here. Fantastic. So let's join the dots. I think
yeah,
when people look in those silos, you don't see those inefficiencies or those opportunities really to help really benefit the rest of the organization and other processes that people probably aren't aware exist
yeah,
and happen day to day. So yeah,
exactly.
it's
It's about, yeah, I think it's time for, companies to really think about purpose driven digital transformation, not panic buy-in platforms
mm, yeah,
ultimately.
yeah.
So
So to that point then, Daniela, have you got any real world examples where something's gone horribly wrong?
Um, Nothing catastrophic, I would say. They've just been sort of ironing out things. Again, it more comes down to again, actually, it was a freight forwarder, so there was an archaic TMS system, quite well known. It's well known for being clunky, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to switch it." Now, again, this wasn't a tech problem, by the way. This really was the board and the C-level, because what's happened is they've brought in this new singing and dancing TMS, which is absolutely brilliant. The sales guys actually did really like it, but what's happened was that migration piece, they didn't have the right people in the business to do the migration, and I think it took just shy of 6 or 7 months. It's still going on now, to actually migrate all of their historic data over. Now, from the front end, yeah, it's working. So all the new leads, new contacts is great. But actually, because of, I think it was to do with one bit of the tech didn't have an API, for instance, and there was just a huge, huge backlog of everything being on Excel spreadsheets somewhere and not on the archaic system. And it all went a bit Pete Tong, to be honest. And they had to use this TMS's support, IT team, but they actually had to get an integration consultancy to come in and fix that problem, and that took a long time. Genuinely think it's still going on today. So that is a really big hiccup, but it wasn't the tech, it was more getting the right people in the right place for the timing of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, again, an example that springs to mind that someone told me a few weeks ago was the investment into a brand new CRM system, sort of bells, whistles, AI, automation, sold the dream and
Yeah.
ultimately got the dream. But what they weren't aware of that process was, here it is implemented. Now you need to go and train your people on how to use it. And the
There you
guys
go.
that run the business were like, okay, we thought it was going to be ready to go. Now we've got
Yeah.
to get someone in to do the training. We've got to wait for it to effectively become effective.
Yeah.
And then you've got that transition of, well, we're going to stop using the old CRM and the new CRM. That could take an extra few months. So that pain point was probably unexpected because they just didn't see it.
No.
And I think something like that often goes overlooked, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No, 100%.
Okay. So if you were going to summarize what to do, where to go, giving people a few top tips, what would it be?
I think totally understand, your whole business. Understand your sales teams, your operationals team, your IT team, big one, and your legal team, and look at all the different systems that they're using. Look at the impact that maybe AI, could help with, or think about the pain points of, right, where are we not communicating, right? Your marketing teams as well. That's a big one as well. And I think just look at your overall business, go round, understand each, manager that you have within that, and really understand all the pain points that they think come up. And then ultimately shop around, have a free consultation. I know you and me do sort of, consultations for 30 minutes, and it can really have a big impact because we can dive a lot deeper into those discovery questions, but we have to know the skeletal basics first for us to be able to give the right experience and the right tech and support or people knowledge. So I suppose when you've got the right people, the right processes, and all the platforms align, that is where the magic's going to happen within your business. That's how I would look at this.
Yeah, that's a great starting point. I think just to add from my perspective is it's asking the people on the ground, the guys that would use this day to day, what's the impact to you? Because if they become more effective by bringing a bit of tech in, fantastic. But if that tech basically makes their day longer, you've got a problem there. I think
Yeah.
a massive part for me is that customer experience as well. What's the benefit that comes to the customer as an end result? It could be, in this day and age, it could be keeping price points the same rather than putting them up. We've become
Yeah.
more effective as an organisation that we don't have to put that up. We've reduced our margin, increased our margin by making ourselves more efficient. I think
Yeah.
something like that is a great experience nowadays because customers really value that. But it also
Yeah.
has to align to the customer's values as well. What
100%.
they, why are they buying from you? What's the reason there? So that's something to explore as well. I think a lot
Yeah.
of organisations probably explore stuff like this without consulting customers, and you haven't got to go around to everyone.
No.
Just pick a top few, your top customers, and say, we're thinking of doing this. We think it's going to make an impact. What do you think? If you
Yeah.
can get that feedback and that insight, customers might tell you more than you actually realise and go, do you know what? There's a bigger problem elsewhere that we need to fix.
Yeah.
So that would be my go-to as well.
Yeah. And I think that's why we've, this is what chain reaction, this is why we're doing this, right? That's what it's all about, because it's unpacking those real business blockers and giving you, permission to ask, like, are we doing the right thing, or are we just doing it fast? I think about, it's getting people to think about that. So this is why we're doing it, is trying to unravel those questions that, might not be at the top of their list.
Yeah. I think we're going to summarise that. It's kind of review it, strategize it, I guess, is kind of something, and sort of look at it from that strategic view.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a good place to start. Is you want to fix stuff first before you lump into some sort of investment that could be
Yeah.
thousands upon thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
To
And
get
just
your house in order.
communicate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a massive one. Yeah,
Yeah.
communication is king.
Yeah.
If
No,
people know what's
definitely.
going on, they're more likely to buy into some sort of change. They might have experience of it elsewhere, so that could be invaluable. Wicked.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've covered a fair amount there, really, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think something to everyone to think about, absorb it,
Yeah.
digest
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you go and buy a bit of tech, stand back. What would Dave and Daniela do? You've heard it here first.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to go. Just a reminder for people, our first event is going to be on the 18th of September in London. So if you're after any more information, please reach out to myself or Daniela. Happy to have a conversation all around logistics and the chain reaction that happens throughout.
Yeah. Perfect.
Brilliant. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in this time around. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we'll see you for episode 3 very, very soon. Cheers everyone.
Later.